And they were like,
okay.
oh, yeah, okay, come in,
Come on in.
We have this little doll. Why don't you just, just possess this doll? And you'll be our friend till the end.
Till the end. They contact a medium. They do a ritual. They're like, this will be great. Annabelle Higgins, who died in the apartment, she needs some friends now because
she's a little girl.
And of course, they're not unable to get rid of the demon soul.
Right, and then they tell this to the Warrens, and basically said, "I'm sorry, what?
Sorry,
you did what? No, that's not it. That's not a little girl. What you did is you invited a demon."
I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Charlie.
And welcome to Outsmarting the Shadows, evading the grasp of cinematic horror, where we help you survive horror movies.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, so today we are almost in October, which is...
Almost.
Yes, it's the most, well, I wouldn't say it's the most haunted month, but it's definitely the most commercialized haunted month.
Mm-hmm.
And we're exploring one of the great modern classics in supernatural horror.
Yes.
Yes, it's the 2013's The Conjuring, which we actually have a poster of.
Yeah. Arguably one, I think that's the best of them all, the first one.
Really?
Yeah, and that's my favorite of all of them. I know that, with The Conjuring, there's The Conjuring, then there's a heap of other spin-offs,
Conjuring 2.
Conjuring 2, then Annabelle, then they kind of like shoehorned in La Llorona, which wasn't originally, but then they kind of like made it part of the story.
Did we see La Llorona?
Yes, we saw it in theaters.
Are the Warrens in it?
No.
I don't remember it.
No, but the priest, I think, if I remember correctly, one of the priests that is in the Conjuring movies is also in La Llorona, and they also reference Annabelle in La Llorona.
I love that.
Well, what I understand, it wasn't originally gonna be tied to these films, and then they did some reshoots on it, so they could kind of like tie it to make the big cinematic universe that everybody wants.
Is do you know if historically the tale of La Llorona is in the Warrens' files?
I have no idea.
Okay, so
no idea.
Some people have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So The Conjuring, which has several movies in the franchise, it's filled with demons and possession, but not only those that become possessed themselves, but also those that fight against it, which is a totally new section of horror that we are exploring in this episode for the first time. I'm talking about the Warrens, which I'm so excited. I love the Warrens so much. I love watching them. I love everything about them. The real life couple is great, but I gotta admit, I like the fake Warrens better. They're on film. So
the cinematic Warrens.
Yes. I love Patrick Wilson. I just think he's an amazing actor. And so when you find yourself possessed, and you can't get away from it yourself, you want to bring in a priest or a demonologist or even Constantine.
It'd be interesting on him that he's the main character in two of kind of like the recent times most famous.
Some of the biggest horror franchises right now.
Yeah, which is Insidious and also The Conjuring.
Yeah, and it's interesting how he plays those two characters very differently. I mean, they're very different characters, but I think he does a great job of both. You really couldn't be luckier to have Ed and Lorraine Warren on your side if you're possessed.
Mm-hmm.
And they're demonologists. They were considered supernatural investigators. They were real people who... and they kind of know their stuff. So they seem very genuinely interested in helping people too.
Yeah.
So, are you as invested in the Warrens as I am?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a pretty decent horror movie, but I'm not as invested, in their life and.
I would invite you to investigate the Warrens, who are real life paranormal investigators. The Conjuring is based on one of their prominent cases. It takes you on a ride in this film. So, Charlie.
Anyway, before we go on, I believe we should go into a spoiler warning.
That's
true. If you haven't seen The Conjuring, which is, when was it filmed? 2013?
2013.
So, you should have already watched it by now.
Shame on you.
Yeah, but if you haven't watched it, pause right now,
Spoiler alert.
Go watch the movie.
Go watch the movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now you're back. You watched the movie.
You watched the movie.
Spoiler alert. We're going to spoil everything.
So one of the only things, there's it's kind of a problem in this movie for us because they do a lot of stuff right in this movie.
How so?
So one of the only things that they do wrong in the beginning of the movie is that they find like a hidden cellar. The reason why I say that they do everything right in this movie is because basically when they need help, they just call for it.
Yeah.
And all the help comes.
Yeah. They're like, they have a guy.
They have a guy who has a guy.
Who has a guy who's in touch with the Vatican.
Who's in touch with a cop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everyone is there to help this family. I love that the introduction of this movie sets up Annabelle, the Warrens, and the family that they are about to help.
Yeah, it's interesting for me because right now Annabelle, it's really big, and then she has, I think, 2-3 movies, something like that. And going back and watching this film, watching kind of like the beginning of it, it's such kind of like a throwaway short story at the beginning of the film. Because the film opens us up with, the doll and Annabelle and how she's kind of like terrorizing these two ladies, and they call for the Warrens, and that's when they come into the story. You see them for the first time. And it's kind of like a really quick intro story about Annabelle, which then
it does play into the story.
It does play into the story, into the movie itself later on in the movie.
And as Annabelle is a conduit.
Yeah. But I find it interesting that from that kind of like, secondary or tertiary character of the doll, they kind of like made a whole movie and a whole heap of things.
Yes. The movie is set in 1968, where initially Ed and Lorraine Warren are investigating Annabelle. Debbie and Camilla, who are the people who own Annabelle initially, basically they had this doll and this spirit tell them, "Oh, I want some friends."
Right? Yeah. And they were like,
"Okay,
okay, come in, come on in. We have this little doll. Why don't you just possess this doll? And you'll be our friend till the end."
Till the end. They contact a medium. They do a ritual. They're like, "This will be great." Annabelle Higgins, who died in the apartment, she needs some friends now because
she's a little girl.
And of course, they're not unable to get rid of the demon soul.
Right, and then they tell this to the Warrens, and basically he said, "I'm sorry, what?
Sorry,
you did what? No. That's not it. That's not a little girl. What you did is you invited a demon, a presence.
We would not be nice."
Right?
Like the Warrens are so polite. They're like, so really great intention, correct praise.
Yes.
Really good intentions, girls. But like, it's a demon spirit. It's not really a little girl. You're gonna die. So we're gonna go ahead and take that from you.
We're gonna take this doll and then we'll keep it safe.
Right. So they've had this doll. It fast forwards to 3 years. It's 1971. They've had the doll for 3 years, and we go into the Warrens' pretty cool museum, which, by the way, in real life, you can visit this museum of all their stuff.
Oh,
yeah. Maybe we should do that.
Yeah, maybe we should go.
Yeah. So, so they're being interviewed by, I think a cop. I don't really know what this guy's doing there, except for not juxtaposition, for exposition to tell you what's going on. They have a daughter.
Yeah.
She's really cute. She constantly wants to get into that room.
Yeah, could you imagine you being a child, and then there's a room in your house with a lot of cool toys and statues and a lot of cool stuff, and the only thing you can't do is go in, and not only you can't go in, you can't touch anything. Everything's like, don't touch absolutely nothing. And the one part,
the stuff looks really cool.
Yeah, and when I think it was a reporter, they were doing a reporter on the Annabelle. So when the reporter is kind of like doing the interview, the little girl goes in and he just, it doesn't freak out, but he's like,
he's a very sweet dad.
But he goes like, "Did you touch anything?
Did you touch anything?"
I wanted to know, okay, what if she does touch?
What if she did?
Yeah, what if she touched something? What would happen?
Oh my God, the Warrens probably have like little kits of like exorcist kits like in every corner of their house.
Can you imagine? Oh, she touched
it.
She touched the samurai statue, so now we have to
use holy water.
Yeah, now we a holy water from a Japanese priest or something like that.
Holy water bubble bath.
Yeah. Something like that.
But like everything in their house, which they do visit later on in other movies, everything in that room is either a conduit for a spirit, has a demon in it, or
It's just possessed.
is
in
just
some way.
possessed or in some way. So let's fast forward to the people who were being possessed. The story is about many things. So it's this family. It's 1971. It's Roger and Carolyn Perrin. They move into a farmhouse, like you do, in Harrisville, Rhode Island, with their 5 daughters: Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and April, and their dog Sadie.
Which now that this is kind of like a horror movie shtick, where oh my god, we just moved into this giant mansion that was probably really cheap, and the kicker, oh, we have all our money invested in it, so we can't really sell it.
We can't sell it.
We can't move.
Right.
Yeah.
And so paranormal, Sadie won't go into the house.
Yeah, the dog doesn't want to go into the house.
Really pretty dog.
Yeah.
So paranormal events occur every few nights, like clockwork at 3:07 a.m.
Yes, and all the clocks in the house stop at 3:07.
It was in Amityville Horror, it was 3:15, right?
I believe so.
So really, a survival tip: beware between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m.
Yeah, between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m., just go to sleep.
Yeah, just go to sleep.
Just, you know.
You know how that saying, nothing good ever happens after 2 a.m.?
Yeah.
Just fast forward that to 3.
Yeah, just, take some sleeping pills, a little Ambien.
That's a lot.
A little Ambien, get a little Ambien to your kids,
Oh my God.
Your 5 girls.
Your 5 daughters. Oh my God. So, unfortunately, there's a dog in this movie.
Yes.
And you know what happens.
And we know in all horror movies, if you have a dog,
the dog's going to die.
That dog is going to be dead.
So Sadie is found dead in the morning.
Like immediately. Like they go into the house.
That's the first weird thing that happens.
And it's weird because when you see the dog die, he's like, okay, she didn't want to come into the house, so I'm going to tie her to a tree.
Right.
So I don't think the spirit killed it. I think it was bad dog management.
Right.
Because he tied her with a collar, with a chain on her neck.
Don't do this.
Not with a harness. If you're gonna do that, do a harness so they can't hang themselves.
With nice water and a little dog house.
Yeah,
if you're gonna do it.
He just tied her to a tree. Okay, you don't want to come in, then stay out there.
Here's the thing, like just bring your dog in. Like you could just drag the dog in, pick her up, and give her a nice place. But they wanted the sexy time.
Yeah, they did.
So Carolyn and Roger, they get it on that night. And the next morning, Carolyn looks at the
they don't explicitly say it.
Right, they don't say it.
The next morning, she starts having some...
First, it's just on her legs.
Yeah, on her legs, she has bruises.
Intense bruises.
And then she's like, what did you do to me?
What did you... And I was like, what did he do to you?
Whatever it was, they were in it so much that they didn't realize what he was doing.
I mean, if you have bruises on your shins... That's not sexy. Yeah. I mean, I don't know who. Anyway, so after a few nights, it's revealed that Roger is a truck driver who gets his job, who is like hurting for work. So he's accepting a job half price to go down to Florida with 5 children, a stay-at-home wife, and a new house.
Which is interesting that this.
Living the dream in 1971.
Yeah, in the 1970s, where you can have a mansion, you can buy a mansion with 5 children, all girls.
You're not living luxuriously, but you're getting by.
With one parent working on a trucker's salary, accepting half a pay, and you can still maintain all that. Which is, it's not what it is right now.
It's not what it is right now. I'm so sorry that every single episode we talk about housing prices. But it is also related to horror.
Yeah,
real life horror. So Roger leaves that night, and he's scheduled to return. When he's scheduled to return, Christine feels something sort of nudging at her feet, and we've seen it a couple of scenes before where Christine's feet are like pulled, and she's like, "Nancy, stop it!" Because she thinks it's her sister, which is half asleep. And this time it's intense. Like something tries to pull her off the bed. So it's sort of subtly cold in the house all the time. It's also stinky in the house all the time.
And then I'm not sure if this is after or before, where they have this game that is clap so I can find you. So these girls have this game where They put on blindfolds, and then they have three claps, and they say first clap, second clap, and third clap, and then the people that are hiding, they just clap. So one of them decides, yeah, and they're blindfolded. So they decide to hide in what was it? Was it a under the stairs closet?
Yes.
And then a lady, one of the children bumped into
the wall,
a fake wall, and they finally they realized, oh, we have a cellar, which leads me again to believe that in the 70s and 60s they didn't really do house inspections.
I don't think an inspection would have found this anyway.
I think it would have. You know, the inspector always goes through everything. He would have been, oh, there's some boards here. Oh, there's a room back here. Or, you know, that big house where they live, there should be a cellar.
I love your trust.
Yeah.
I mean, there probably would have been floor plans, so I think that you're right. They would have said, listen, there should be a cellar here. But I don't know. People find, like, weird things in their house all the time, old houses. So they find a cellar. The dad, with no fear, gets infinitely lit matches.
Yeah.
You were impressed.
Yeah, I was impressed because in this part, he's like...
He couldn't stop talking about this
because
matches.
he goes, so it's a dark, dingy cellar, you know, there's no light, and instead of going, bring me a flashlight, no, he goes, get me the matches.
Get me the matches.
I'm like, what is he going to do with matches? He's going to burn the place down? And is he going to smoke a cigarette? I don't know. No, he takes match by match. By the way, the first match that he lights lasts a really long time. So these are really good matches.
He has multiple matches in his hand.
Still, that would make all the matches just burn the same way.
I think you're right.
Them last longer.
They do last the entirety of this scene pretty much, where he goes down this dark thing. Okay, let's just go into survival tips. Okay,
yes.
Because don't do any. Okay, secret room in your house, not your business.
Or if it is your business, get a flashlight. You know?
No, if it is your business, don't just get a flashlight. Be prepared.
Don't go with matches.
Definitely don't go with matches. I say don't go with a flashlight either. What you do is you get one of those lights that you can, you know, That
is the 70s. They don't have none of that. They don't even have LED bulbs on those flashlights.
At this point, Sadie hadn't died, right?
No, I don't believe she did. No.
Right. So Sadie was still outside at this point when they found this cellar. I would go grab Sadie and just say, "Listen, go investigate."
The dog that doesn't want to go in the house, you're just gonna shove her down the cellar. A creepy cellar that nobody knows what's in it. There could be crocodiles down there.
This is why you need a cat. A cat wouldn't care. A cat would be like.
A cat would try to kill you with the demon. That's what a cat would try to do.
Okay, I disagree. Yeah. I think the cat would try to protect you because cats are the gateways.
Oh, cats are demons. You look at them to their demony eyes. No. Cats would kill you.
Cats are the gateway to the undead, and they're there to protect you.
No.
And, like, they love
Cats are not there to protect you. Dogs will.
Okay. Yeah, right. So
that's why you don't see no horror movie where, oh my God, the demon kills the cat. No, they always kill the dog because the cats, they're their friends.
What about the mummy when he uses the cat to fend off the mummy?
The mummy's not a horror movie.
The concept of the mummy is a horror movie.
It's not. It's an action.
The mummy is one of the original horror creatures. It's the mummy,
but
sea monster man.
Realistically, you're not talking about that mummy. You're talking about the only mummy that you care for, which is the Brendan Fraser mummy.
Listen, leave me alone in Brendan Fraser, okay? He's the best.
Am I right?
No.
So you weren't talking about the Brendan Fraser movie?
I was, of course, talking about the Brendan Fraser movie. What other mummy movie matters?
Okay. And that's an action movie.
So let's talk about how the house... So they explore the cellar. It's just a dark, dingy cellar. It's obviously extremely creepy, and that's where all the demons live. But no one knows that yet because they made poor choices. Mm-hmm. So fast forward to when Christine is getting her legs pulled at night.
Exactly, yeah. Which she wakes up and she goes, first of all, who sleeps? It's supposed to be really cold.
Right.
And she's not under the blankets.
What is up with this family? And
these kids, they don't care. They're like, I'm just going to throw myself on the bed and not use any of the blankets when it's really cold.
It's demon cold, right? Yeah. Like, it's demon cold in the house, which every house we've ever seen in movies, it gets cold because demons make it cold and smelly. And they don't use the blankets, and they're like, I'm so cold. I'm like, just get under the blankets.
Yeah. If you were under blankets, they can't grab onto your feet.
So, air conditioning, AC is not cheap. If you don't live in a state where air conditioning is a thing, then maybe you don't know this. But temperatures randomly fluctuating in your home, that's a real serious issue.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you smell like rotting flesh unexpectedly throughout your home, obviously there's something dead in your walls or there's a demon. And you need to fix both of those issues and not just ignore them and be like, oh, it's just weirdly drafty.
Yeah.
There must be a window open somehow.
Yeah.
That's not.
Anyway, so he pulls the presence, pulls her feet, and she goes like, "Hey," to her sister, "Stop it! Why are you waking me up?"
Yeah, and obviously it's not her sister. She turns over. Her sister's still sleeping, and then she wakes up her sister with like freaking out, and she is staring.
But this part is because he pulled her leg a couple of nights earlier.
Yeah,
he just pulled it
just
and then
lightly.
Just tugged on it a little bit. Like, oh, I'm here. But and then nothing happened. She's like, "Oh, it's my sister. Listen, stop doing that." And she went back to sleep. And
this one is the intense one.
Yeah.
Now
a couple of days later.
Yeah, a couple of days later. So we opened this when her sister wakes up. We open with Christine sitting on the bed, staring in a dark corner of the room. This is the most beautifully shot scene of horror that I've seen in a long time, where this little girl is sitting on her bed, staring at nothing.
Yeah.
But she's
at darkness,
which
was interesting because
fear.
I wasn't sure if our setup was really dark or is there something. So I took my phone, I put the brightness all the way up and looked at that scene. Okay, so is there something, or is this just brilliantly shot where it's just the kid acting at looking at a shadow?
This is an example of why you would live, because you're very analytical and you want to understand.
Yeah, I wanted to see. I mean, I don't see anything. The other kid didn't see anything. But her sister didn't see anything, so much that her sister just woke up, walked to the corner, and said like, "There's nothing here."
Oh my God, it was so terrifying. Like when she's like, "There's nothing here," she turns around and Christine's still paralyzed with fear and going, "It's right behind you. It's right behind you." Yeah. And I'm like, I was freaking out.
Nothing here, and then there's nothing here, and then the door got shut really hard.
Oh.
No. And then they started to scream. Everybody got up and they went to their bedroom. Like, what's happening?
Right.
And the lady was freaking out.
She was freaking out.
The kid was freaking out.
The parents come in. Now
it's weird because all her sisters and the mom and everybody else was looking at her like, this lady crazy.
Well, no, they weren't. They were hugging her. The dad was hugging her, and she said,
not her sisters. Her sister they were just standing on the door like.
That's her sister's job, is to scrutinize her and make her feel weird.
Okay.
But I'm going to have a side note here too. One of my favorite things about this movie is that every single interpersonal relationship in these families is on point. Everybody loves each other. Everybody wants to support each other. Everybody listens to each other. They don't do any tropes of like, the reason why we can't handle the situation is because basically our relationship, the foundations are crumbling. Mm-hmm. And that's unfortunately how ghosts really get you, how demons get you, and that is not the case here. It is a solidly written character of everybody involved. And the thing that really is the terror is not the fact that you can't talk to each other, but the demon itself, which is really cool. So in that moment, the demon says that all my family's going to die. Mm-hmm. And the dad's like, oh my God. Now, let's go back to the Warrens, because we learn earlier that Ed and Lorraine had an exorcism go wrong. They don't at this point say exactly what happened, but Ed, being a very loving and supportive spouse that he is worried about Lorraine and is trying to keep the demon hunting to a minimum right now. So he's kind of trying to keep Lorraine away from exorcism. Obviously, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's like, that is my job.
Right? So Carolyn, at this point, is the mom. Mm-hmm. Carolyn, we see the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine, speaking at different universities, which is a wonderful touch to really talk about how smart and interesting they are. And Carolyn tracks them down and contacts them. Yeah. She does everything right. Everybody in this family
that's
does
the thing.
Everything right.
Everything. So not after that one. It's in between she contacting them and after that incident in the bedroom. so she was she was playing with her daughter, or about the I don't know, I don't remember quite good. She went to the cellar because of something, and then she gets trapped in the cellar, and she can't get out of the cellar, and then the daughter is screaming, and
This family is haunted repeatedly in different ways. The first one is the youngest child, it's always the youngest child, gets this music box. And the
yeah,
music,
she finds it immediately when they move in. Oh, look at
yeah,
this creepy old music box I found.
yeah, from her imaginary friend Rudy. It's always an imaginary friend.
Yeah.
It's a ghost. Carolyn, the mother, is very good at talking to her daughter about it, but obviously, and even looks at the music box, but doesn't see anything. Then a couple of nights later, the incident that you're talking about, she hears something and she goes and she follows it and she goes down into the cellar and she gets locked in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like something is with her. She knows at that point something is with her because whatever this demon is starts to play oh my God, I'm getting chills. Starts to play the clap game.
Yeah. And then when she gets locked into the cellar, again, this is an inconsistency about those matches. Because she uses the same exact matches as her husband did, right?
Same exact
the same
way.
ones. But for her, they last nothing, next to nothing. She like turns it on, and like a couple of seconds later, oh my God, they're gone.
Demon matches, baby.
Yeah, demon matches. I mean, they possess the matches. Where for him, they last a long time, but for her, they don't.
Right. So after that incident, Carolyn goes and tracks down the Warrens. Lorraine is a very powerful clairvoyant and sees dark forces have latched onto the Perrin family, so they agree that they're going to come and help them. And the family's doing like literally everything right. They contacted for help when they needed it, and this is when the movie really kicks into high gear with one of my favorite things that happens in almost any horror movie, which is when they bring in investigative camera equipment or investigation of any kind into what's going on.
Because she talked to Warren, and I like it that originally he was like, listen, lady, it's nothing. I've seen this. It's probably
probably
old
pipes.
house pipes. It's not for us. And she's like, no, I have 5 daughters. He's like, Jesus, 5 daughters. We have 1, and they have 5. Which what I find really interesting is this is the part that lets you know that they do everything right. When the Warrens get to the house, they're like, "Oh, we're all sleeping in the same in the kitchen/living room." So they decided, listen, we're all gonna sleep in the same place. We're not gonna, oh, I don't believe what my children are saying. No. We're all sleeping in the same spot.
Something that I have to note about this film that I love. They don't rely on the trope of demons make men into asses or into jerks. Yeah. All the men in this film are really kind and supportive, and
well, there's the cop.
He is even very cool too. Yeah, Brad Hamilton is the cop's name, and like even he seems to take time out of his life. He still works full time, and he's volunteering, or maybe he's being paid. But how much could it be paid by the Warrens?
He's probably one of the guys that they know. I know a guy.
Yeah. And so the dad, Roger, he never questions it. He's always like, yeah, let's just sleep in the living room with all my daughters and my wife. Ed is constantly supportive and wonderful. At one point, he even fixes a car so that he could just have a nice moment.
Yeah.
He's just nice.
But a little side note here. I like it that when the cop shows up, it's like he's from a different movie.
He is the star of his own movie.
He thought he was okay. This is an action hero movie, and I am the star because he arrives in a Mustang, revving the engine like, yeah, I'm here, and then he goes to the guy, put her there,
He's a cop.
Yeah, he's like, I'm here to shoot my gun.
Shoot things, get stuff done, and like
kill him again.
Right? I mean, what is it? What's the saying? I'm here to shoot guns and chew gum, and I'm all out of gum.
A lot of bubble gum. Yeah.
So they bring in the camera equipment. They bring in this really cool college student, and the college student and the cop have this really cool witty banter. I have no survival tips at this point because you've done everything correctly.
They have. They have
everything correctly.
everything correctly.
Yeah. I mean, unless you have disposable income to leave, which you clearly don't.
Yeah, because everything's tied up into the house.
Everything's
classic.
always tied up in the house. Maybe the survival tip is more like a parenting tip of if you're going to buy a home, try to have a little bit of extra.
Yeah.
If you can.
Yeah, but with 5 daughters, 5
there's
children.
no extra.
You know, and you come upon a house that is like 3 stories with rooms for almost all of your children.
I know.
You're gonna buy it.
We're gonna buy that house.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're setting up the camera equipment. You don't have extra cash floating around for like paranormal investigators, so I'm assuming they're doing this for free. And they are staking out this house for days.
Yeah, it's not.
They make them breakfast several times.
It's not pretty clear how many days they're in the house while they're researching, to see if they can get an exorcism on the house, because he's not an exorcist, because he's not. He doesn't belong to the the Catholic. I'm guessing it's the Catholic Church.
Right. He's not a priest.
Yeah, he's not a priest.
Belongs to the Catholic Church as a member, but we learned they don't really explicitly say this, but later on we learned in our own research that Ed Warren was one of the only authorized people that could perform exorcisms outside of the priesthood.
I see.
Authorized by the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
He at this point in his career, I don't think he was, but who knows. Oh, I do have a survival tip for you. Mm-hmm. So let's say that Ed and Lorraine Warren are dead, like they are right now. And there's let's say, like if we had a haunting like that.
Have they both passed away?
Yeah, she passed away in, I think, 2019.
Okay.
So if you're being haunted and you can't call for help at all because money, right? Maybe like learn investigative skills.
What do you mean?
Well, like you could get your cameras and you could get any cameras that you have. You could get some holy water. I'm sure some of you get some easily, right?
Just go to a church and, just steal a little bit of water.
Yeah. Right? And I'm sure that you could figure out a way to like even just copying movies.
Now, if the holy water is stolen, would it still be holy for you?
Yeah, it's still holy water no matter what.
You just mar it because,
if
you stole it.
My understanding is if it's blessed, it is blessed. It is holy.
What if it's blessed against the blesser's will? There's a holdup. Bless all this water.
Well, is it blessed by a priest that's been authorized?
Yeah, you take the priest hostage or something until he blesses the water.
Yeah, a priest who performs a marriage under duress, it's still a marriage.
Huh. The more you know.
I think.
No, I don't know.
I mean, it makes sense to me.
Right?
You can do your own research on that. I don't care.
Neither do I.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you could have these things. You could have, you could do your own. Everything the Warrens do, you could do, is what I'm saying. Like, it's not like they were born different.
Yeah.
Read their books and you got it. So Drew Thomas, the police officer who plays Brad Hamilton, is fantastic in this movie. Further research reveals that the house once belonged to an accused witch named Bathsheba Sherman, who is a relative of Marytown Eastie. I probably should know who this lady is. They talk about her in the movie like everybody knows who she is, and maybe she was like this awful person in history, but I don't know who she is. But we do know that she sacrificed her week-old baby to the devil and killed herself in 1863.
Yeah, so
at 3:07 a.m.
Yeah, she sacrificed her child, and then she got caught. So she ran outside, and she said, "Nobody will take my."
She cursed all who will take her land.
Her land, because it was at the time 200 acres, which is a lot of acreage.
It's a lot.
And so she hung herself from the tree.
Yes. And there are numerous murders and suicides through the years in the house that were built on those 200 acres, not just this house.
Because the acres were subdivided into subdivisions, and people who lived in some of the properties, they killed themselves or they disappeared, like that boy that lived in the house.
Now, all the investigators are there, but they're not really seeing anything. And so the mood starts to kind of mellow. And the Warrens start to talk about, maybe we should get a place in the country. This is kind of nice. Like, you're like, maybe we'll just, it's fine. Everything's fine.
I got the guy was like, I'll sell you this one.
I'll sell you this one. Yeah. But that's when things start to hit the fan even further. When one morning Bathsheba appears to Carolyn, remember while she's kind of taking a nap, and he fully possesses her.
Yeah, it was weird because at first it appeared to the Warren. I forget her name.
Lorraine.
At first, she appeared to Lorraine, kind of like mocking her right in front of her, and then I think that was a really cool scene where a really nice scene where she's putting on sheets to dry on she's hanging some sheets, and then a wind blows the sheet away, and then it encompasses a body, kind of like looking at her right in front of her, and then the sheet flies away and touches the window. Ooh. And then when the sheet moves, she's behind the window, kind of like looking at Lorraine, like, yes, I'm here. And at that point, Lorraine knows, oh, that's where the lady went to sleep, so she knows something. Shit's about to go down.
Now, I know that like things were starting to get a little mellow, but I still don't know why the Warrens would allow Carolyn to be alone. Like everyone should have a buddy. Like if you're,
I think it was daytime.
Yeah, they didn't.
Nothing was really happening.
Or a car. Like no one was thinking about it. So that night the group just lets Cindy, this little girl, just sleepwalk. Like
she normally she sleepwalks.
She sleepwalks, but they didn't follow her up the stairs, and so she sleepwalks into another room where she disappears.
Yeah.
And we hear a spirit sort of luring Cindy into the wardrobe. Oh my God, they have the coolest thing where they have a black light. I kind of want to get a UV light.
A UV black light to look when where people were stepping or stuff like that.
Yeah, and they reveal a secret passage. Lorraine, who has no freaking fear at all, just decides to go through the wall behind the wardrobe into this passage and finds that's where Rudy, the invisible friend, used to hide when his mom would go crazy.
Yeah, and interesting that's also when she sees something, and when she pulls it is the noose.
Oh my God.
Well, they don't explicitly say it, but
it's a noose.
It is the noose probably that she used to hang herself.
Yeah, and then Lorraine falls, and it was so funny. We were watching this movie, and I was like, "That floor looks precarious."
Yeah, that floor looks like it hasn't been maintained in a while.
And right then, Lorraine falls straight.
She just falls right through the floor, right?
Through the floor. She's on like the third floor. She falls all the way in. I mean, scaring Ed to death.
Yeah.
Like falls down through the cellar, and everybody's like running downstairs and like banging on the walls. It's really cool, but she sees
Then she's in the cellar, and she sees one of the ladies that
funny to me
that I think murdered one of her children.
This lady was one of the many people who committed suicide and also murdered her own child because Bathsheba made her do it.
Yeah, and there's a freaky part where she looks at her she uses the little toy to look at her first, so she appears.
Yeah.
And then she looks at her, and the lady's like, "Oh, she made me do it. She made me do it." And that's when Lorraine realizes, oh, she's possessed. She possessed the mother to kill herself.
She possessed the spirit that's appearing to her, and that's how this lady died. And
then in this point, one of the creepiest scenes in this movie.
Wait for just a second.
Okay.
Because you're going to talk about the lady that spins around Bathsheba. But so this spirit is appearing to you, and all she's saying is, she made me do it. I felt in that moment that Lorraine was like, okay, well, do you want to talk about it?
So let's see. So who made you do it?
Who made you do it? Because I felt
what did you do?
The spirit didn't seem ominous at all. It was scary because it was there, but it seemed like it just needed
sad.
She needed to get it off her chest.
She needed a ghost psychologist.
Yes, she did. And God, what a terrible job that would be. But ultimately, I think you do have to, if you're being haunted, you have to understand the motivation of the spirits around you. Because that spirit wasn't dangerous. But then immediately after that is the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Bathsheba appear. Oh my God, this scene is amazing.
Yeah. So
I'll describe it. Yeah.
So in this scene, which I think is the scariest scene in the movie, in my opinion, so she's kind of like kneeling down, she's looking around, and then she sees some legs kind of like hang, like a lady's hanging. And it's like, oh, so this is the lady, she's hanging. But all of a sudden, the hanging kind of like turns around and like it's moving, like it's following. So, which is really interesting. So I just imagine somebody hanging and then somebody else moving, kind of like moving, twisting,
around.
turning the person around, kind of like a little puppet. That was a freaky scene.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
So at this point, let's say that you are the people involved in the situation. You've done the majority of the right things, and you just have to keep your wits about you. Like, that's kind of the survival and ride it out. But you also have to remember all the motivations of the spirits that are haunting everyone plays a part in how you respond. So at this point, unless it's Bathsheba, really amazing demonic name, by the way. Unless it's this spirit who killed her own baby and worshipped Satan, I think these spirits, for the most part, just want you to know that they died horrible deaths and they want to tell you their story.
Yeah, well, this lady, remember, she sold allegedly her soul to Satan, so she just didn't want anybody to be in her property. She wanted to keep the property forever.
Yeah. They just said keep out. That was really her whole goal.
Keep out. This is my stuff.
This is my stuff.
Just don't touch it.
But everybody else seems to like they want to be heard so they can move on. But so maybe they likely won't want to harm you. So Bathsheba then attacks Nancy with the hair.
Yeah, at this point, so they get her. She, they come out of the cellar. And then the lady, which is at this point, what they were looking for was evidence, so they could submit to the church,
Vatican,
to the Vatican, so they would
approve
an exorcism.
Yes.
Right. So at this point, the lady, her hair, I thought, oh, they're static. How they shot, oh, they're static. But then she just uses her like a little doll and flings her back and forth. They're like, oh my God, this is a really violent lady.
So they take these scissors and they give this lady an intense bolt.
Yeah.
Like
they're like, oh, she's going into the hair? Okay, let's just cut the hair.
Cut this hair.
Well, she just threw this lady around the whole room.
She has lots of layers now.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And here is another, which I find fun. I found this part funny where he goes to the camera guy. Did you get that?
Did you get it?
And he's like, I got everything.
Yes. So they decide that it's sufficient evidence.
Yeah.
To go to the Vatican.
Here's another tip, which they did correctly. So at this point, they decide to just not sleep in the house.
Right. They do. I mean, okay, people, at this point, I know that you're stretched for cash, but it's either sleep in your car at the hotel, sleep in the hotel room, but don't ever go back to that house.
Yeah.
Until the exorcism has been performed.
Exactly.
So Father Gordon explains to the Warrens that they have to wait for the Vatican's specific approval and direct intervention.
Yeah, because they show him the footage, and he's like, oh, I've never seen this before.
But it's because the parents are not directly Catholic, which is like so stupid. I thought the church was supposed to destroy evil spirits no matter what, but apparently they only care about people who are Catholic.
Oh, and before they left, so Lorraine goes to the dock. And then she sees...
Oh, she sees her daughter.
Her daughter kind of like floating, like dead under the water.
Because she lost her locket.
Yeah, she lost her locket. So she freaks out.
It has a picture of her daughter in it.
Yeah. So she freaks out and she goes running. She calls her house because her mother is taking care of her daughter.
That's, I think, how Bathsheba knows about the daughter and decides to use Annabelle as a conduit. Is she's like, oh, I've got this picture and I feel really threatened by Lorraine. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go after that little girl. And man, it is an intense fight for this little girl's life.
Yeah, because at this point, so the little girl kind of wakes up in the middle of the night because her feet stuck again. Another little girl that is not under her.
I don't know why they weren't
her blankets.
Prepare their demon fighting should be 101 on the family list. Mm-hmm. All their kids should be prepared.
Yeah.
But she's not.
So the interesting part here is that the lady wakes up, and then when she's calling for her grandma, but when she goes down the stairs, the room is open, the room that has all the possessed items, the room that she's never supposed to go into.
Right. Right. And the daughter, or not the daughter, but Annabelle is.
Yeah, they pan kind of like to where, the Annabelle's little cage, and she's not there.
Yeah. So the Warrens come at the last second.
Yeah, so again, this kid does the correct thing because all the lights start to go dark, kind of like a darkness is coming. So what does she do? She just runs to her room, which you would think, okay, that's safe, runs to her room. And then in her room, Annabelle, so the lady that
her grandmother.
Not her grandmother.
Bathsheba.
Bathsheba is sitting in a chair with Annabelle.
With Annabelle.
But the cool part here is that Bathsheba does nothing. Annabelle is the one that slowly turns her head, kind of to look at the kid, and then the kid just freaks out. Naturally, anybody would freak out.
But I would freak out.
Yeah.
All my rules be
Again,
out the window.
The rule here is, but it's a child, so probably won't do it. The rule is you get upset.
Oh, that's true. This is a great charge rule.
Anger trumps fear 100% of the time. So if you're upset and you see a doll with a lady, they're never going to expect you to charge at them. You say, come here, what are you doing? And then you pick up the doll and you just kick it across the window. And then you take the chair and you go all wrestling on her and and you smash the chair on the demon.
I think that's a wonderful rule, but I'm gonna amend it slightly.
Uh-huh.
I hate it when they have a hold of the thing that's dangerous and they throw it away.
Well, what are you gonna do? Put it in your pocket?
You Hulk smash it.
Oh yeah, you do the side to the other side one.
Until one side is in the fire.
Yeah, exactly. That's
right?
a good one.
You never let go of that doll, because if that doll is the thing that can physically touch you, you touch it first.
Yeah, you touch it first. You grab it. No demon ever is gonna expect you to lunge at it.
Right. No one expects you to punch him in the face.
Yeah, they don't. That's why you always get upset, because anger trumps fear 100% of the time. 100% of the time.
Right.
So anyway, so she's freaking out. The chair, now the chair is empty, but it's slowly turning around, and the kid is freaking out. The Warrens got there. They can't open the door, and right at the last second, they open the door. The
chair goes flying.
He gets his daughter out, and the chair goes flying, and the chair hits right where their daughter was standing. Yeah, so it wouldn't have killed her, but it would have injured this kid.
Well, so at this point
it looked like a really weak chair.
Yeah, what was up with that wood?
Broken.
That wasn't
good
wood.
Yeah.
So at this point, the Warrens were waiting for the Vatican.
Yeah, they were.
But because it's a personal attack on their family, they decide, let's finish this. So the Perrin family take refuge at the motel. Mm-hmm. The Warrens were waiting for the Vatican to give them approval for the exorcism, but it's attacking their family. And they get a notification that Carolyn has taken Christine and April back to the house to kill them, basically, as she's being possessed by Bathsheba.
Notifications in the 70s means a phone call.
It does mean a phone call.
They didn't get any text.
It's not a...
Yeah, they didn't get any, any instant message or anything. It was just a landline phone call.
So the whole crew is ready.
They are. The cop is ready. The guy, the kid that films is ready.
Right.
They're all okay. It's go time. Let's go.
Ready. Roderick decides to stay back with the kids, but he still calls the cops to go there once everything is done.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So they find Carolyn in the cellar, she's trying to stab Christine. She's basically trying to kill her. Lorraine warns that if they take Carolyn outside the house, because they try, they start shoving her out, and she starts to burn.
Yeah, to burn, and her throat starts to get like she's hanging her.
Right.
Which is really interesting.
It's a really interesting scene. And so Bathsheba, they warn her that Bathsheba's going to kill her. So instead, they decide to tie Carolyn to a chair, and Ed
in the cellar.
And Ed has this great moment where he's like, I'm going to have to do an exorcism.
Yeah, I'm going to...
Lorraine, you got to get out of here.
You got to get out of here, because the exorcisms, he doesn't want...
He doesn't want Lorraine...
To whatever happened the last time, which we don't
really
find
know.
Out. He doesn't want it to happen
He doesn't want it to happen again to her. So, but she's like, no, we're in it together.
Yeah.
We're
going to do it.
Yeah, we're going to do it. So, of course, in the middle of the exorcism... Carolyn escapes and attempts to kill April.
Yeah, because April gets lost, so she kind of like goes and hides. And this part of this scene of The Exorcist was really well done. I find interesting that
The lighting.
yeah, the lighting, and I find interesting that probably the showrunners were like, listen, we're not gonna spend a lot on VFX, on practical effects, so let's just put a sheet over her, because
Right.
almost the whole scene she has a sheet over
Y'all
her.
are going to have to sell it.
Yeah, and they sold it. They did.
Sold it, they did.
Yeah, yeah.
By the way, can I just note, there are so many crawl spaces and sidewinders and like
In
weird
their
places
house.
in this house.
Yeah.
Like, in between our walls is like this thin.
Yeah.
We don't have any. There's no. I'm
They
disappointed.
Yeah, and
that there's
in
no
this
hidden
house,
anything.
they can fall a lot of floors in between the walls.
Right.
So much so that when he was looking for her, he was tapping the walls. Okay, she might be in this wall.
She might be in
that wall.
might be
Let's
between.
see. Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's a lot.
So this scene is really good, where the she's fully possessed. She starts floating around. The chair flips upside down,
Yeah.
and then she tries to kill him, like moving furniture down. Throwing furniture at them,
It's
and then
intense.
the shotgun. I think is the cop shotgun, but I'm not 100% sure.
Brad,
It falls down and it shoots.
yes. But I have to say, the cop gets bit in the face.
Oh yeah, she just bites him.
She bites him in the face. I
They're
was
like,
really,
come here! No.
I was really worried he was going to die.
Yeah,
Because that
yeah.
would be complicated.
But it wasn't quite the
It was just
jugular.
a little-
It was kind of like in the jawline.
Yeah. So anyway, so she finds a way to get free and crawls through the
After he
subterranean
tries the
house.
exorcism, which clearly didn't work.
Well, he didn't finish it at that point.
I see.
And so then she gets into a space where it's just her and this little girl. And everybody's around her trying to stop her, but they can't quite get through the same area.
Which is interesting. How they found the little girl is, so the camera guy, which I don't remember his name, he was looking for her, and then he hears something under the floorboards, and he decides to just break the floor, to just cause damage to the house, to find this lady.
I mean, if it was my daughter, I would be fine with it. But if she wasn't there, it's an
They just
expensive
broke the
fix.
floor.
It's an expensive fix.
And then he just screams at everybody, "Oh, she's under the floor!"
Which of course tells Carolyn.
Tells the demon,
the
"Oh, there
demon,
she is!
There she is.
I can
kill
get
her
this
right
lady
now."
and kill her."
So then, because I think half the exorcism is done, they are able to reach Carolyn, the mother, and tell her, "Listen, this is your daughter." So they hold her off, Bathsheba, off for a second, while Ed is able to finish the exorcism.
Really, I thought it was he didn't actually finish the exorcism, and when Lorraine was touching her, because Lorraine kind of like they let you know that she has this power that she can senses people's emotions or their feelings and memories. So she starts to, I think while he's finishing the exorcism, that
Lorraine
wasn't
is
all that
reminding
clear.
her of the
She's
memories
reminding
of
her
the
about this
beach.
memory on the beach that they went through in the movie, about this happy day that she really liked and brought a very happy emotion to her, in order to help her to
Get the demon out.
get the demon out.
But while that was happening, Ed was also condemning Bathsheba to hell.
I see.
So that's why they both kind of worked simultaneously.
And at this point, then she starts throwing up, which another thing. This is another thing. So I don't know why demons have the need to just throw up in your face, in your mouth.
Vomit in your mouth.
Yeah, why would you? I don't
All the
want
time.
vomit in my mouth. Listen, if you're gonna possess me, do it a different way. Don't vomit in my mouth. Going through my nose or something
But
like
here's
that.
the thing. Survival tip.
Mm-hmm.
You know if you're going to be possessed, something's going to vomit in your mouth.
Yeah, but
Close your mouth.
yeah, you just go. No vomit's going in
No
my
vomit
mouth.
in my mouth.
Right? Again, so the thing is, you see something really scary, you scream. Therefore, you open the mouth. Therefore, they vomit in your mouth. So again, we fall back to the rule. You get upset
Right.
because anger trumps fear.
You know what? You know what an upset face looks like?
Yeah, you're like closed mouth.
Right, closed mouth.
If that lady, she floats on top of you, and I'm scared. She's not gonna expect you to just grab her. Like, come here. What are you doing here? Just getting upset.
Sock her in the face.
Yeah, you just bam, sock her in the face. No demon is ever gonna expect you to sock him in the face. They just not. Anyway, so
The best.
she throws up all that black goo that the lady kind of vomited in her mouth, and they won. They survived.
Right? They all
It's
survived.
interesting that everybody except the dog, dogs always die. Everybody survived in this story. All of them.
Didn't everybody survive all the movies that we've reviewed so far?
Um.
Oh wait, no.
No, everybody died in the Demeter. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I was wrong.
Spoiler: if you haven't seen the Demeter, now you know. Everybody dies.
Oops. So, the Warrens take the music box with them back to their little haunted room of horrors.
Yeah, and then that's where it lives now.
That's where it lives.
Which is weird because the conduit wasn't that little box. That little box was kind of like for them to see other spirits. So I didn't quite understand why does the little box get to go in there and not the noose she found
I think it was because
or a patch of grass, because it's the land.
just
grab a patch of grass of
the
grass.
tree, the whole tree.
Yeah, the whole tree,
The whole tree.
or cut a little limb or the limb where she,
the entire land.
Yeah, where she hung herself.
All 200 acres.
And just put it in his little room.
I mean, they're rich enough, right? Like at that point, they could have bought.
Well, they would have to, kind of do like a
acres.
TARDIS or something, where it's bigger on the inside, just that room.
Right.
Kind of like that other movie, The Room, 2019.
Good job on that.
Yeah.
So I would say that they kept the music box because that was really where they could see the spirits and actually call them. Every other piece was because
kind of like a way to go into that other side, or
that was a physical object
Mm-hmm.
that had nothing to do with Bathsheba's demonic presence,
but
was still
finding the spirits that
finding
were
the spirits.
Yeah.
So it's better to keep that locked up, I think. Yeah. And all the other ones were. It was a really cool scene when after they exorcised Bathsheba, that Cindy came out of the house and all of her bruises and her cuts and stuff.
Yeah, while she walked out of the house, you see the
across
bruises.
the
Which across the movie, she's like, "Oh, I have an iron deficiency," and she was taking iron deficiency pills. Yeah.
You have a demon deficiency.
Well, no, wasn't deficient in demon at all.
What is it? You have a hypertropic demon.
I don't know. Yeah.
Medical things, but more demons.
Yeah.
So this movie was a great introduction to the Warrens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited to watch the other ones. I think it's going to be a really fun ride. I'm particularly excited about the idea that the movies are just so well made, and there's such good examples to our viewers of how to do things correctly. Yeah,
because in this movie, they didn't do the dog correctly. Nobody ever does the dog. If you have a dog, bring it
inside.
in. Make sure they have food. Don't tie him on his neck. Use a little harness. There's on his chest so he doesn't hang himself.
Attention to your animal's emotions. Same way you would a child.
Yeah.
Just be kind.
Unless it's a goat. Goats always, they just sleep outside.
Bring goats inside.
Yeah, they can't control their sphincter. Yeah, well, we know.
So I think that's a great example. And you can look at it from many different perspectives. If you're being haunted, how do you get help? If you're being haunted but you want to stop the haunting and you don't have any money to pay helpers, how would you get rid of the demon?
Yeah. Exactly.
All good things.
All good things.
So thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Outsmarting the Shadows. Mm-hmm. You have survived. I think we have survived.
Yeah.
Right? You got mad at those demons.
You get upset. That's the number one rule for me is anger trumps fear 100% of the time.
I didn't even get to do my main rule, which is the 7-minute mark starts now.
No, because they did things pretty good.
Really
we all sleep in the same room.
Right?
We get help.
Yeah.
Oh, they physically attacked us. We just don't sleep in the house.
Right.
We just leave. Leave and sleep in a motel.
So impressive.
Yeah, pretty good.
So thank you so much. Join us next time, and we look forward to it.
Yeah, and like and subscribe the video if you like this video. If you're watching it on YouTube, then like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. If you want to follow us on Instagram, we have updates there. We also have a Facebook page, and obviously we have these podcasts both in video form and we have them in audio form.
Yeah, wherever you get your podcast.
Now, something to note that October is just around the corner.
Yeah.
So we have special treats coming up, so stay tuned for that. And thank you so much.
Yeah. Have a good one.